Penn State plays USC this Saturday. It's the 3:30 Eastern time game of the week on CBS. So Brad's there, Gary is there, Jennifer Dell is there, street named Jenny, and it is a pressure moment for both of these head coaches. Big Ten teams. So first off, the headline, Big Ten teams, according to John Wilner, traveling 2+ time zones so far this year. They're 1-7 in conference play. Not shocking. We got two big boys in that spot this weekend. Penn State going all the way to LA. Ohio State going all the way to Eugene. Let's just keep our eyes peeled. It's so huge for both coaches. I mean, what's the book been on James Franklin? The book's been, well, he can't win the big game. Well, no, the book's actually been he's overrated, and burn that book. We do believe in burning certain books on this show, especially if they're full of lies, like James Franklin is overrated. James Franklin has fallen short against two teams, and that is Ohio State and Michigan. In fact, Penn State over the past 3 years, 25-0 versus everyone else, 0-4 versus Ohio State and Michigan. So my question is, as we have expanded the Big Ten, is USC one of the other teams, or is USC one of the Ohio State-Michigan caliber teams? Now, if your memory is 7 days or less, then you probably think that they're in the stack of teams that Penn State's been body bagging, because you just watched them lose to Minnesota, right? Now Penn State goes on the road. USC gets to go home. So do we see the same USC team that got beat by Minnesota? Well, let's dive into it. First question I have, who is Miller Moss? Sure, he's the quarterback at USC, but who is he really? Because his first 3 games that he started, he was 3-0, 72% completion guy, 9.9 yards per attempt. His last 3 games, 1-2, 61% completion guy, 5.5 yards per attempt, and he's thrown 4 picks. So he is either really good or he's terrible or somewhere in between. There's been a lot of mixed bag on Miller Moss right now, and he's been under duress. That's a large reason why. USC currently 111th in America in pressures allowed, and that is not a great place to be considering Penn State comes in second in the country in defensive pressure rate. More importantly, paper pop, Penn State first in the country in time to pressure. They get to you, and they get to you really, really quick. So that is part one that doesn't bode well here. Here's a good question. Will USC run the ball? I don't think they'll have a whole lot of success running the ball. If they prove me wrong and they can run the ball, boy, wouldn't that alleviate a lot of what I just said. So a couple of things I think are true here. Number one, USC has the best passing game that Penn State has seen. I think that is unequivocally true. It's also true that this is by far the best and most athletic group of pass rushers that USC has seen so far this year, and lesser groups have gotten after USC. So that's part one. Part two, it's true that USC's defense is improved. It was hard to get worse, but they are significantly improved, and I'm not backing away from that. I mean, they're 28th in points per game allowed this year. That's wonderful, wonderful improvement. They are top 15 in pass D. That is wonderful improvement. Neither will matter if Penn State can run the ball, and Penn State should be able to run the ball. It would be shocking to Penn State people and that staff if they aren't able to go out there and run the ball virtually at will, but be able to run the ball, because defensive line depth, while already an issue for USC going into the season, is now a growing issue. And we've already talked about it. We talked about it and how it gave them a mismatch against Minnesota. It's an even bigger mismatch here. Nick Singleton, big game. Need to be a big game for him coming up this Saturday. He didn't play last week. We think he'll be good to go this Saturday. He has 3 runs this year of 40+. He is an explosive play on the ground waiting to happen. And USC, 100th or worse in the country in plays of 30+ yards given up, 40+ yards given up, 50+ yards given up. You get the score there. I think the third quarter is really important in this game. If you watch both of these teams, you know that USC has had to come back a couple of times already this year. They came back and then got margin against Wisconsin. They came back against Michigan. And conversely, Penn State has not allowed 100 yards in any second half this year. So if they've got the lead at the half and you're kind of hoping to repeat some of that magic, I'm not sure it's there. It sounds really lopsided for Penn State. I know it does. Now, let me hit you with something just out of the blue. Colin, show me what the model thinks about this game. The model thinks the wrong team is favored. So FanDuel currently has Penn State minus 4.5. Model thinks USC wins outright. And I am telling you, this has been the fight of the week for me because the model has nailed USC games all year. We had them beating LSU. We had them beating Michigan. We had them in a dogfight against Minnesota. They end up losing the game. And now the same model here, this model that I hold in my hand is saying, Penn State, yeah, forget about all the matchup disadvantages. They're just going to win outright. Are they really? Like, is USC really going to win this outright? I don't know, guys. I don't know. To the point where I'm doing something that I think is almost unethical, but almost unethical just translates to strategic. That's what Meemaw used to tell me. So I'll take Penn State to win and USC to cover. Why not take a Penn State field goal victory? Why not? There's a ton of skill in that, right? Low-key, I don't have any idea what to expect here. Look, my mind, and looking at the matchup, thinks Penn State has a significant advantage here. I also understand the intangibles in play. And I understand that just blindly counting on Penn State's offense to right there like that is a risky proposition. I understand the travel dynamic, and I do understand Lincoln Riley and his entire program has their back against the wall. We got the classic wounded animal mode situation going back home. We always love that dynamic. These are non-quantifiable dynamics. And so maybe we thread the needle here. Maybe USC finds a way to cover. Maybe Penn State finds a way to win. The number is 4.5 after all. So a nice little 27-24, nice little 30-26. I don't know. But I do know one way or another, there is a head coach that will get buried under an ocean of negative headlines coming out of this one because folks already have them written. Like they're already saved in drafts for Lincoln Riley and James Franklin.